Greetings from South Korea. I am Arirang News AI anchor. Here is the news-making headlines today. President Lee Jae-myung has vowed to overhaul the current tax system to curb real estate speculation, calling the practice a social harm. Speaking at a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, he vowed to speed up measures to provide more homes and come up with support measures tailored to people in need of a home. He said that real estate speculation has become one of the most difficult problems to solve, adding that it aggravates wealth inequality and undermines social integration. The president will hold a national discussion on Thursday as the government prepares new housing measures in the coming weeks. Korea's National Assembly has approved an amendment extending the mandate of a special counsel investigating former President Yoon Suk-yeol and former First Lady Kim Gon-hee on allegations of insurrection and abuse of power. The amendment was proposed by the ruling Democratic Party during a plenary session and passed with all 173 lawmakers present voting in favor and lawmakers from the main opposition People Power Party boycotting the vote. The vote came after the People Power Party staged a 24-hour filibuster, arguing the bill was politically motivated and intended to suppress the opposition. This bill would allow the special counsel's investigation to continue for an additional 30 days, extending the deadline from July 24 to August 23. Korea's exports during the first 20 days of July hit a record high for the period, driven by a powerful surge in semiconductor demand. According to preliminary data released by the Korea Customs Service on Tuesday, outbound shipments reached $54.9 billion, up 52.3% year-on-year. The record performance was largely led by semiconductor exports, which surged nearly 2.8-fold to $22.1 billion. Shipments to major trading partners expanded across the board, with exports to China soaring 94.1%. As a result, South Korea recorded a trade surplus of $12.2 billion for the 20-day period. Bilateral trade between North Korea and China surpassed $1.5 billion in the first half of this year, marking the highest volume since 2017, prior to the full enforcement of UN Security Council sanctions. This is according to a Voice of America report analyzing data from China's General Administration of Customs, and represents a 19.6% increase from the same period last year. Trade between the two countries had fallen to $1.1 billion in 2018 from the sanctions. It later plummeted further to just under $66 million in the first half of 2021 due to pandemic-related border closures, but has since shown a consistent recovery. North Korea imported roughly $1.18 billion in goods from China, up around 12% compared to the first half of last year. Meanwhile, its exports to China surged 54.1% to $324 million. U.S. President Donald Trump vowed that Iran would pay many times over for the deaths of American soldiers. The U.S. military launched another round of strikes on Iran the same day, with U.S. Central Command saying the operation ended at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The strikes targeted Iranian military and communications sites to further weaken Iran's attacks on ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran said it had hit sites in Bahrain and Syria, and also targeted U.S. aircraft in Jordan. Later, the Iranian president described the recent confrontation with Washington as a full-scale war. Meanwhile, diplomatic contacts are continuing between both sides through mediators, who have proposed a 10-day ceasefire to Washington and Tehran. That is all from me today. Thank you for watching.